Hi, this is Blake.
Hi, this is Cameron. We welcome you to yet another episode of Trust Talks.
Ever wonder how much your smart speaker really knows about your questionable music tastes? Or how that streaming service just always seems to guess what you want to watch next? It's all AI, right? It's woven into our lives now. But here's the question we're really digging into today. How much data does AI actually need to, work its magic? And critically, what does that mean for your privacy?
Yeah.
The big topic, kind of complex sometimes, and we're here to really unpack it.
It's such a vital question, definitely. AI has this huge potential, right, for innovation, convenience, making things simpler.
Sure.
But its power, its effectiveness, it's deeply tied to using vast amounts of personal data. And that reliance brings up some pretty profound considerations.
Right.
So our mission for this deep dive is to explore those implications, get a handle on why safeguarding privacy is just so crucial, and maybe give you some, actionable insights for navigating this AI age. Hopefully you'll walk away feeling more informed and maybe more empowered too.
Okay, so let's start with that core tension because it is really fascinating. AI systems, they get powerful because they learn. They see patterns, predict things, even create new stuff, all from, information.
Right. Data.
But when we say data, what are we really talking about? Our sources make it clear. This isn't just like anonymous numbers.
Right.
It's often things like your browsing habits where you're in exactly, sometimes even biometric stuff.
Sensitive stuff.
Yeah. And that's where the balance starts to get, tricky, isn't it?
Absolutely. What's fascinating, I think, is that inherent trade-off. You've got the utility of AI on one side, its ability to change industries, improve lives, and that absolutely depends on data. Often the more data, the smarter the AI seems.
Wow.
But then on the other equally critical side is protecting individual privacy. And striking that balance, it's a genuinely complex challenge because if you lean too far one way, you kind of undermine the other. It's like trying to build a super fast car that's also completely invisible. The goals just pull apart sometimes.
Okay, so with that balancing act, how do we even start to think about the ethics? The ethical landscape that just pops up when AI meets data privacy? Our sources point to 5 sort of key pillars here.
Right. And each of these really deserves a closer look because they kind of form the foundation for responsible AI development.
Yeah.
First up is fairness and non-discrimination.
Okay.
This is so critical because AI algorithms, they can unintentionally perpetuate or amplify existing biases if the data they learn from is skewed.
How does that actually happen, though? Like, an example.
Well, think about it. If an AI learns from historical data where, say, certain groups were disadvantaged, it can just reproduce those patterns without meaning to. One study found an AI for medical diagnosis was worse at diagnosing certain conditions in underrepresented groups, not because someone programmed bias in, but because subtle things in the data maybe linked to socioeconomic status got amplified.
Wow. Okay.
So ensuring fairness isn't just, a nice idea. It's an ethical imperative to prevent real harm.
That really brings it home. But you mentioned these systems can be complex, sometimes called black boxes, right? So how can companies actually be transparent about how they work? Is that even possible?
That's a really sharp question, and it leads right into the second point, transparency and accountability. You're right, a lot of AI systems are like black boxes. Their decision-making isn't easily understandable, sometimes even to the people who built them.
Right.
Now, if you're affected by an AI decision, maybe you didn't get a loan or didn't get picked for a job interview, that lack of clarity is deeply concerning. So transparency is essential for building trust. And it means that if an AI messes up or makes an unfair call, there's a way to hold it, or rather the organization behind it, accountable. It's not always about showing all the code, but making the why behind decisions make sense.
So what about our own power in this? Our control over our own data?
Yes, consent and control. This is absolutely fundamental. Individuals should have clear control over their personal data, and they need to provide informed consent for its use in AI.
Informed consent. So not just clicking agree on page 50 of terms and conditions.
Exactly. Not just ticking a tiny box buried somewhere. It means truly understanding how your data will be used and, crucially, having the power to say no or to take back that consent later. Think of it like a real agreement, not just a dating rub.
It really sounds like privacy needs to be built in from the very beginning, not just like tacked on afterwards, like designing a secure building from the start, not just adding a padlock to a flimsy door later.
You've nailed it. That's security and privacy by design. The whole principle is that privacy and security aren't afterthoughts. They're not extras you add if you have time. They must be integral components of AI system design right from the get-go.
Okay.
This proactive approach, it embeds those safeguards deep inside the system's architecture, makes them much stronger, much more effective, like designing the plumbing into the house plans, not trying to squeeze pipes in after the walls are up.
So pulling all these ethical threads together, what does it really mean for organizations? Why is protecting our data not just, good manners, but absolutely essential for any company using AI?
Well, there are several really compelling reasons why protecting data privacy is just non-negotiable now. First, pretty straightforward, compliance with regulation.
Like the legal stuff.
Exactly. We're seeing this global wave of data privacy laws, not following rules like GDPR in Europe or CCPA in California.
Right.
Well, it can lead to significant fines and legal consequences. And these aren't trivial fines. We're talking potentially crippling amounts for businesses. We've seen huge penalties already.
Okay, so the stick. What about the carrot?
Good point. The second reason is building trust and reputation. In this digital age, customers, users, increasingly expect companies to handle data responsibly. A failure here will absolutely erode trust, damage reputations, and lead to business losses.
Yeah, I wouldn't stick with a company I didn't trust with my info.
Nobody would. And that damage to reputation, it can often be way more costly in the long run than any fine.
And then there's the risk of actual breaches, beyond just fines and bad PR.
Precisely. Third reason, preventing data breaches. Breaches have severe consequences. There's the immediate financial hit investigation costs, fixing things, notifying people, but also huge legal liabilities and that massive reputational damage we just mentioned. Strong privacy measures are like your first line of defense, your firewall.
Okay.
And finally, maybe the most important, ethical and social responsibility. As AI becomes more and more woven into society, organizations have a moral duty, a social duty, to respect individual privacy. Upholding these principles isn't just about dodging penalties. It's about being a good corporate citizen, contributing to responsible AI that actually benefits humanity, making sure the tech serves us, not the other way around.
It's definitely clear that data privacy isn't governed by just one simple rule book. And this is where it gets really interesting, maybe a bit complicated. There are multiple big regulations out there that companies and really all of us need to be aware of. It feels like navigating a maze sometimes.
It really can feel like that. But these regulations basically form the global framework. The General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, is a big one. It's truly comprehensive in the EU, setting strict rules for collecting, processing, storing personal data. And importantly, it has global reach. It applies to any organization handling data of EU citizens, no matter where that company is located.
Okay, so that's Europe. What about the U.S.?
Well, in the U.S., a major one is the California Consumer Privacy Act, or CCPA. Its focus is on giving Californian consumers specific rights over their data, like the right to know what's collected, the right to delete it, and the right to opt out of their data being sold.
So it's not just general consumer data, right? There are rules for specific, really sensitive stuff, too, like medical information.
Absolutely. That's where HIPAA, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, comes in. It's a U.S. federal law specifically designed to protect sensitive patient health information. That's why your doctor's office is so careful with your records.
Makes sense.
And for kids online, there's COPPA, the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, another U.S. federal law. This one has specific rules for collecting data from children under 13. Basically means platforms need consent from parents first.
Right.
And it's worth remembering there are others, too, regional ones like PayPita in Canada, industry-specific ones like PCI DSS for payment cards. It really highlights this complex web of rules that organizations have to follow. It's a patchwork quilt, definitely. You need to know which patches apply to you.
So, okay, with all these rules, all these ethical points, what are the actual practical steps? What should organizations building and using AI be doing right now to navigate this maze responsibly? What are the best practices?
Our sources lay out 8 pretty critical best practices. First, data minimization. Basically, only collect and use data that's strictly necessary for what you need to do. Less data collected means less risk.
Keep it lean.
Exactly. Second, consent and transparency. Always get explicit and informed consent and be crystal clear about how you're using the data. Third, access and control. Give individuals the power to manage their own data, see it, fix it, delete it, opt out.
Empower the user.
Right. Fourth, data security. This means strong measures like encryption, access control, secure data storage. The basics, but done well. Fifth, we mentioned it before, privacy by design. Build privacy in from the early stages.
Not an add-on.
Definitely not. Sixth, anonymization and de-identification, using techniques to strip out personal identifiers while keeping the data useful for analysis. Seventh, ethical AI development, adopting clear ethical principles for fairness, accountability, respecting human rights. And finally, number 8, continuous monitoring and auditing. Regularly check that you're compliant and fix problems quickly. It's not a one-and-done thing, it's ongoing vigilance.
That's a really solid list. Let's maybe zoom in on 2 of those that feel especially important for, everyday reality. First, secure data storage and encryption. How should companies think about that practically? What does it actually look like?
Okay, yeah, this is foundational. Truly the bedrock. It involves encryption at rest and in transit. That means the data is scrambled both when it's just sitting on a server at rest and when it's moving across networks in transit.
It's like secret code.
Pretty much. Think industry standards like AES 2586 for stored data, that's military-grade stuff, very hard to crack, and TLS-SSL for data moving online. That's what gives you the little padlock in your browser. Then there's access controls and the principle of least privilege. Meaning only the people who absolutely need to access the data can, and only the parts they need for their specific job. No free-for-alls. Organizations also have to secure their data centers and cloud storage, picking providers with top-notch security, and key management and rotation is vital.
The keys for the encryption.
Exactly. You need to manage those keys securely, change them regularly, like changing the locks on a vault. And don't forget secure data disposal. When data is not needed anymore, you have to get rid of it properly, wiping drives, physical destruction. Plus, ongoing security monitoring and incident response, constantly watching for threats, having a plan, running tests. It's a continuous effort.
That makes total sense. Okay. And the other one you mentioned, data anonymization and de-identification techniques. How do those actually work? I mean, how can you make data useful for AI, but also anonymous so it doesn't point back to me?
Yeah, it's a bit like statistical magic, but it's crucial. These techniques aim to protect privacy while still letting the data be used. So data masking might replace your real name or account number with fake but realistic-looking values.
Okay.
Data aggregation groups individual records together so you only see summaries or trends, not data about one specific person. Data pseudonymization swaps direct identifiers, like your name, for a code or pseudonym. The link back might exist securely somewhere, but generally you're just an ID number.
Right.
Then there are more advanced things like differential privacy. This is clever. It introduces a tiny mathematically calculated amount of random noise into the data set results.
Noise, like static.
Sort of. Imagine asking a sensitive question to a large group. With differential privacy, it's like everyone flicks a coin privately. If heads, they answer truthfully. If tails, they answer randomly, yes or no. You still get accurate overall statistics for the group, but you can never be certain about any single individual's true answer because of that added randomness.
Wow.
It is. There's also synthetic data generation, where you create completely artificial data that has the same statistical properties as the real data, but contains zero real personal info. And finally, something called K-anonymity. This ensures that any individual's record in a data set looks identical to at least K-1 other records based on certain identifying characteristics, making it much harder to single someone out. It's all about obscuring the individual while keeping the broader patterns intact.
It sounds like beyond just following the rules, companies really need to earn our trust. I mean, if my data is being used, I want to feel confident it's being handled carefully, ethically. How can they genuinely build that trust through transparent practices?
Building trust is absolutely paramount. It goes way beyond compliance checklists. It starts with things like creating clear and accessible privacy policies, written in plain language, not dense legalese, explaining what they do with data.
Easy to understand.
Yes. Then, proactive communication. Tell customers about changes to data practices before they happen. Give them a real choice to consent or opt out. Transparency is also crucial during data breaches, prompt notification, honest information about what happened.
Honesty even when things go wrong.
Especially then. Trust can also be bolstered by getting third-party audits or certifications like the ISO 27701 standard for information security. It shows an independent verification of their commitment. Critically, empowering customer control and choice over their data is huge. When you can easily see and manage your preferences, you feel more in control, more secure. And lastly, openly adopting and communicating clear ethical AI principles. This shows a commitment that goes beyond just the legal minimums. It shows they actually care about doing the right thing.
So we've talked a lot about organizations, what they need to do. But this isn't just on them, is it?
Yeah.
Our daily choices, your choices as a listener, they have a real impact too. What does all this mean for you? You're not just passive here. You're an active participant in protecting your own data privacy.
Absolutely. You have a really powerful role to play. First, just be mindful of data sharing. Think carefully about what information you share online, especially on social media or when you sign up for apps. Remember clicking accept on those long terms?
Oh yeah, the endless scroll.
Right, we all do it. But with AI, that click carries more weight. Second, maybe use privacy-enhancing tools and services. Things like VPNs, ad blockers, privacy-focused browsers, or search engines can limit tracking. Third, strengthen your account security. Use strong, unique passwords. Please don't reuse passwords. Enable two-factor authentication wherever you can, and just be super wary of phishing scams.
Basic digital hygiene, really.
It is, but it's so important. Fourth, be selective with location services. Does that app really need your precise location all the time? Grant permissions only when necessary. Fifth, review and adjust your privacy settings regularly. On your phone, your computer, your apps. Settings can change with updates, so it's good to check in now and then.
Keep things locked down.
Yeah. Sixth, stay informed and educated. Keep learning about data privacy issues. Things change fast. And finally, maybe support privacy-focused organizations and initiatives. There are groups working hard to protect data rights. Your choices and our collective choices, they really do make a difference.
That's a great set of tools for anyone trying to navigate this. It does raise a big question, though. Looking ahead, what will data privacy even look like as AI keeps evolving so incredibly fast? What's the road ahead for all of us?
Yeah, the future. It's definitely going to be shaped by several key factors, constantly evolving. We can certainly expect evolving regulations and governance. Laws will keep trying to catch up with technology, both nationally and internationally.
More rules, probably.
Likely, or at least refined rules. We'll also see, I think, greater development and adoption of those privacy-enhancing technologies we talked about. Better encryption, maybe more widespread use of things like differential privacy or synthetic data, techniques that let us get value from data without compromising individuals.
Tech fighting tech, in a way.
In a way, yes. Also, the establishment and adoption of ethical AI frameworks and principles will hopefully become more standard practice guiding development. Critically, public awareness and advocacy will keep growing. As people become more aware, they'll demand more accountability, which influences companies and government.
The power of the people.
Exactly. And ultimately, tackling these complex issues effectively will require collaboration and multi-stakeholder approaches. Governments, industry, researchers, civil society, individuals, everyone needs to be part of the conversation and the solution. No single group can figure this all out alone.
It's really clear, then, that protecting data privacy isn't a destination we arrive at. It's very much an ongoing journey, isn't it? It requires constant vigilance, constant adaptation from everyone involved, whether we're building the AI or just using the apps on our phones.
It truly is an ongoing journey. And maybe beyond that vigilance, it's worth considering how our daily digital choices, all of our choices added together, actually shape the ethical landscape of AI itself. So the final thought perhaps is, how will we collectively ensure that innovation doesn't outpace our ability to protect these fundamental rights?
That's a really powerful thought to end on, and definitely something for all of us to keep exploring. We've unpacked the critical ethics, highlighted the best practices for organizations, and looked at the powerful role each of us plays. We really encourage you to keep digging into this fascinating and incredibly vital topic. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.